All right, welcome back to another day. Quick video for you today. I'm talking about the Leica Q2. This is day 4, I think I'm gonna be using it. Compared to other cameras, and specifically today we're gonna talk about size and portability, because if you didn't know any better, and if you read articles online, you would hear a bunch of people saying a point and shoot $6,000 camera. Peter McKinnon's video, Mehdi Hapoya, several others. But I'm here to argue that this is not really a point and shoot, and I'll contradict myself a bunch in this video because this camera is a contradiction of that entire sentiment of what it is. And so let's first of all talk about what this camera offers for its size that I think is really, really unique or important. And that is mostly largely around the full frame sensor with a 1.7 millimeter, 1.7 aperture, 28 millimeter lens that has sort of like pseudo macro capabilities. This has that. Look right here, go to macro, all that stuff. Plus the fact that you can manually focus it, and it feels like M glass, like in my M10. That's unique. And it's unique because if you try to replicate this in any other camera, you run up against much different type of size or a different size camera. For example, if you try to take my Fuji X-T5 as an example, and to get similar depth of field, similar field of view, again, this 28 is more like a 26, 1.7. You need to shoot 1.4 or 1.2 glass to get that depth of field, and you need to be somewhere between like 16 to 18 millimeters on Fuji. Now, I have a picture here of the Sigma 16 1.4. It's kind of dubbed the Bigma, right? Because it's a bigger lens. But if you compare that to also like the Fuji 16 1.4 or the new Fuji 18 1.4, or if you want to go wider, the Viltrox 13 1.4, they're all bigger. They're all significantly bigger than this. And in that respect, it's unique. Even in full frame, think about the systems, the mirrorless systems today, to get 28 or 24 millimeters, 1.7 glass. I know for my experience on Nikon, the 21.8, the 24 1.8, those are all big lenses, much, much bigger than this on full frame. It's not until you get to 28 2.8 do you get into a pancake type lens. Also on Lumix, the 24 1.8, the 21.8, those are all big lenses. Sony, similar setup. I had the 21.8G, had the 24 1.8, or 24, is it 1.8? I think it is. They're all bigger lenses. So if you try to match the same size and full frame sensor and depth of field in either APS-C or in a full frame, you're going to be significantly bigger than this. And from that perspective, this Leica Q2 is uniquely suited. My son's over there, you can probably hear him. But on the flip side, this camera is not a point and shoot. This is not a pocketable camera. In fact, it's no different in size than the Leica M. In fact, I would say that the Leica M system is Easton, as I was saying. I would say that the Leica M10 in its system is actually more versatile. You can get wider lenses that are smaller. Voigtlander makes smaller lenses. I know Seven Artisans and those guys, they all make smaller lenses. And so from that perspective, you can actually get a full frame sensor with smaller glass. Again, albeit not on the same aperture. But the point is the M10 and the M system is more versatile. And again, it's not much bigger. Where you lose is in the weight because this body is brass. It's heavier. That might not be the case for the M11 black one because that's an aluminum body, or maybe an M262. But certainly the brass bodies are a lot heavier. But nonetheless, I would say the M system is more versatile. If you compare it to something like the Fuji, you throw any of the Fuji crons on, you get different fields of view, not as shallow, but you get a very similar size as you would with this. And the fact that it can do better video and has other capabilities, is it really, you know, what do you want to limit yourself to? And it is a question. You might want to limit yourself to something like this. But then the Fuji also has the added benefit of maybe throwing on a small 35 1.2 manual focus piece of glass from Seven Artisans, or you could throw the 27 millimeter f2.8 with an aperture ring, with autofocus on the X-T5 and make it jacket pocketable. Same thing with like an X100V. This is smaller than an X100V. And I would say the X100V is jacket pocketable. Ricoh, GR, pocketable, like true jean pocketable. And this is not that. I mean, could you jam this in if you take the lens hood off into a jacket pocket? Yeah, you could. You definitely could. But this isn't something like that. And you have to kind of figure out, for $6,000 or $5,800, do I want to forego the versatility of an M and the rangefinder experience? The versatility of a Fuji or a Sony or an X100V that can also do video and other things inside of it. To get the benefit of autofocus like a glass 1.7, you see, it's kind of like you're constantly choosing. If you're to bring only this on a trip, could you make great photos? Absolutely. Would you miss something longer like a 50 or a 90 millimeter? You probably would, but sometimes limitations help you excel. Like I said, I'm gonna contradict myself a bunch in this. I say all this to say that I don't feel this in my hand is any different really than picking up my M or my Fuji in terms of its size. You pick up a Ricoh GR, you instantly know that's a different camera altogether. Even the X100V with its truly pancake lens, it's a different thing altogether. So that's kind of how I feel. This is a unique package. It is very premium. It does offer something unique in its glass and size and full frame sensor, macro capability, autofocus, all that. But you have to trade off a lot with it. That's how I feel about it. Because the video in it, the video's not good either. It's usable, but it's not good. So anyways, my wife's got my daughter right now. She's at the urgent care. We got a sick kid. Kind of feeling tired today. I didn't take many photos. I did take a few. I'll put them up here, just a couple. And then, oddly enough, I grabbed my Fuji with the 23 f2 and threw it in Pro Via and just took a few shots as well. It's kind of interesting because I'm day 4 and I'm wanting to pick my M back up, or I'm wanting to pick my Fuji back up, which might just be a natural like infatuation period that's kind of coming to a normalcy, right? The peak is coming down and now it's like more of a rational decision of what I want to pick up today. Got 3 days left with this. I got Sunday, well today, Saturday is 1, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 4 more days left with this camera. We'll see how I feel about it tomorrow. See you next time.